Okay, so this is the tape pull-in process that I am familiar with, and I'm gonna show you today. What you must, not say must, but what is to be observed here is that I'm completely diluting the mud down to a thinner texture. Out the box, the mud is very thick, and to make it more malleable, to make it more usable, you want to thin it down. This particular mud is specifically for taping. It has a lot more glue. It has a lot more sticking characteristics. But at the end of the day, what really matters is that it's thin enough, not to say to be played with, but it's got to be thin enough to be usable. In any scenario, well, not say any scenario, but in most scenarios, using the mud thinner for the first coat, for your taping coat, to apply the tape on the wall, using it thinner is much more wiser. You don't want to have a lot of mud under the tape. This I'm only going over this particular part extensively because it's the most critical part. And I'm sure I'm going to have to do more videos to even more clarify what I'm trying to express here. That the mixture must be diluted significantly. So even if you dilute it and you think to yourself, that's thin enough, usually you can go thinner. As you can see here, I'm dumping in more water just to make sure the thinness and the consistency is thin enough for me to do the place. Here's something else to always consider when you're using taping or when you're using the mud in general. Once you're in the open environment, that stuff starts to dry. So as soon as you put the tape on the wall, it's going to start drying up. So it's very important to make sure that your mud is thin enough, or else you're going to be working against the clock, or you're going to be doing small batches consistently. It's more important to thin the mud out. This little tool here, the speed taper, and I'm going to assemble it. Hopefully it's all there on the tape. There's two holes, one right here and one right here. You're going to take the first set of holes. This is the second set of holes, but the first set of holes, because this is how it's designed to be used. The first set of holes is where you're going to put this little clamp to hold it up. And the second set of holes, you're going to put your tape in. You put your tape into the second set of holes and your guide pin to secure it. Usually when you put the tape into the super taper, the idea is to have the tape in a way, it's going to come out through here. This is where the tape is going to be pulled from to apply the mud. When you pull the tape off, when you put the tape on, when you secure the tape to the thing, you want to put it in a manner like this, as if it's coming out through here. Then you open it. It's a bit tricky, and you put it through the middle. Put a bit out. Put it under, flat to the back. Flat to the back. And pull it through. And then lay it flat on the top. And that is how you secure the tape. Again, it's gonna go up. It's gonna come under this thing. You're gonna have to cover this with it, so it has to go under. In the middle, right here, is where you're coming through. And you're gonna put it in a way or a fashion that is more in alignment with this, to this part, looking up at it. At the very bottom. All right. Again, at the very bottom hole. over the top, lock it, and you're ready to go. Stick it in the tail. That's the tape. So considering this is a three-step process, step one to dilute the mud, step two to get your tape on your super taper. The third step is to pull the tape. Now I'm using the bag that was containing the material originally. The material came in this bag, so to speak, and that purpose was to keep it sealed and fresh. And I'm doing the same exact thing in reverse here, keeping it sealed and fresh in that exact same bag, and this will last me about 8 hours. Now, why is that important? If you're in a closed room or a closed environment where the heat is on and you need to close it up to go for lunch, or you need to close it up to clean your surfaces, then it's always easy just to cover that plastic bag up. Not only that, but you know it's a sealed area because the mud just came out of it. So I've always used this method. Not say always, but I learned it along the way, and now I use it consistently in this particular fashion. But yeah, that's the whole point here. And you can pull at least a half a roll of tape off, right? For starters, but you can fill the whole bucket up. The only problem here is a matter of weight, how heavy the bucket is. Are you gonna lift it? But realistically, you can pull half of that. You can pull half of the tape off, right? And be satisfied with that. What you see me doing here is I'm just checking how thick it is, because this machine here does allow you to increase the flow of mud, and it also allows you to decrease the flow of mud. Also, that you're going to find sometimes is that there might be something in your mud from whatever the reason may be, something dirty. It's not a problem to take the whole thing out, as you just saw me do, and clean the bottom off. Right at the bottom is where it is. So it's totally fine to take it off. The way I solve that problem is just by lifting the machine a bit higher. So that means anything that's heavy and bulky will just fall to the bottom, right? But you'll find a little bit of irritation the first time you're gonna use this machine. You're gonna find some irritation about it, but it's totally worth it once you've mastered it. And even in the worst case scenario, it is a beautiful machine to make your life a bit easier.